In 4 months, this city will be burning. 500,000 people will flee. The greatest empire in South Asia will collapse in 6 hours of battle. But you don't know that yet. The year is 1565 AD. You live in Vijayanagara, the city of victory, population 500,000. Larger than Paris, richer than Rome. The capital of the last great Hindu empire standing between Islamic sultanates and total domination of South India. Your city has stood for 235 years, since 1336, when 2 brothers founded an empire to protect Hindu culture from northern invasions. Since then, Vijayanagara grew into one of the wealthiest cities in the world. Travelers from Persia, Portugal, and China describe it as a marvel. Temples covered in gold, bazaars selling diamonds and rubies, palaces with ivory inlaid ceilings. But right now, 5 sultanates to the north are forming an alliance: Bijapur, Ahmadnagar, Golconda, Bidar, Berar. They've fought each other for decades, but now they've united for one purpose: destroy Vijayanagara. The reason? Your new king, Raya, is arrogant. For years he played the sultanates against each other, hired Muslim mercenaries, insulted the Sultan of Bijapur in his own court. Now they're coming for revenge. In January 1565, the alliance will march south with 80,000 soldiers. In 4 months, January 23, 1565, they'll meet your army at Talikota, 60 miles north. Your commander, Raya, will be captured, beheaded on the battlefield. His head paraded on a pike. When news reaches Vijayanagara, panic will erupt. The city will be abandoned. Then the Sultanate armies will arrive. For 6 months, they'll systematically loot, burn, and destroy everything. Every temple, every palace, every home. The richest city in India will become the largest ruins in South Asia. But right now, the markets are full. The temples are gleaming. Musicians play in palace courtyards. You walk through streets lined with shops selling silks from China, horses from Arabia, spices from Kerala. You pass the Vittala Temple, the most beautiful temple in the empire. Its stone chariot, musical pillars that ring like bells when struck, halls carved with such detail that stone looks like lace. In 4 months, it will be defaced, smashed, left to ruins. The Tungabhadra River flows past the Royal Enclosure. You see the king's balance, a giant scale where the emperor is weighed against gold and jewels, then distributed to Brahmins. The last great Hindu ritual of imperial power. This is Vijayanagara at its peak, the final flowering of South Indian Hindu civilization before centuries of Mughal and British domination. You're living in the last days. You just don't know it yet. You walk down the Grand Bazaar, a 2-mile street lined with shops selling goods from across the known world. The bazaar is legendary. A Portuguese traveler, Domingo Paes, wrote that this street has over 1,000 shops. Persian trader Abdur Razak called it more magnificent than anything in Persia. Even visitors from China are impressed. You see diamond merchants from Golconda. Their gems are the finest in the world. Vijayanagara controls the diamond trade. A single stone can be worth a year's income for a farmer. The wealthy wear diamonds casually, status symbols. Arabian horse traders display their stock. Vijayanagara's cavalry needs constant supplies. The empire imports 13,000 horses annually from Arabia and Persia. The horses don't breed well in India's climate, so fresh imports are essential. Military and economic necessity combined. Silk merchants from China, porcelain too. The maritime trade routes connect Vijayanagara to Ming Dynasty China through Southeast Asian ports. Cultural exchange flows both ways. Spice vendors from Kerala and the Malabar coast. Pepper, cardamom, cloves. Europe's spice obsession makes these worth their weight in silver. The Portuguese have established coastal forts. Vijayanagara tolerates them because they bring revenue. You notice Muslim merchants freely trading. Despite the Hindu-Muslim political tensions at the state level, commerce transcends religion. A goldsmith displays jewelry, intricate work showing South Indian craftsmanship at its peak. Gold necklaces, temple jewelry. The craftsmanship here rivals anything in Europe or the Islamic world. The wealth is staggering, and it's about to vanish. When the Sultanates sack the city in 6 months, this bazaar will be systematically looted. Gems pried from settings. Gems pried from settings. Gold melted down, silk burned, horses stolen. The Sultanate soldiers will spend 6 months extracting wealth. Then they'll burn what's left. Not just conquest, total annihilation. A message. This is what happens when Hindu power challenges Islamic dominance. But right now, commerce thrives. Money flows. The bazaar hums with languages: Telugu, Kannada, Tamil, Persian, Arabic, Portuguese. Vijayanagara is cosmopolitan, international, rich beyond measure. You buy some betel leaves and walk on. Tomorrow you'll be back. Business as usual, except in 4 months there will be no tomorrow. Except in 4 months there will be no tomorrow. No bazaar, no business, just ruins and memories. Just ruins and memories. You're living in the last days, you just don't know it yet. You're living in the last days, you just don't know it yet. I'll see you on the next one. Midday, and you visit the Vittala Temple, the jewel of Vijayanagara architecture. Built 50 years ago under Emperor Krishnadeva Raya, this temple represents Hindu civilization at its artistic peak. The stone chariot sits in the courtyard, a temple shrine carved to look like a wooden chariot but made entirely of granite. The wheels once turned. The horses are frozen mid-gallop. Stone made to look like motion, master craftsmanship. Inside the main hall you see the musical pillars, 56 columns carved from single pieces of granite. When struck, each produces a different musical note. The entire hall is a stone instrument, architecture and music fused. Vijayanagara's architects achieved what seems impossible, making stone sing. The ceiling carvings are extraordinary. Stories from the Ramayana and Mahabharata carved in such detail that stone looks like fabric. Dancers frozen mid-movement. Gods in cosmic battles. Every surface covered in narrative art. This temple employs hundreds. Priests conducting rituals. Musicians playing for the deity. Dancers performing temple dances. Sculptors still adding details. Maintenance workers. Guards. The temple is not just religious, it's economic infrastructure. You watch a priest perform puja, ritual worship with flowers, incense, oil lamps. The deity Vittala, a form of Vishnu, receives offerings. Devotees crowd the halls. This is the spiritual heart of a Hindu empire surrounded by Islamic sultanates. The temple represents what's at stake. This isn't just political power, this is cultural survival. Hindu traditions, Sanskrit learning, temple architecture, classical music and dance. If you want to witness another Hindu kingdom's final stand, when Maratha warriors fight against Mughal domination a century later, subscribe. Because the cycle of Hindu empires rising and falling shapes South Asian history for centuries. But right now, the Vittala Temple stands complete. Perfect. In 4 months, Sultanate soldiers will enter with hammers. They'll smash the carvings, deface the deity statues, break the musical pillars trying to find hidden treasure inside. They won't destroy everything. The stone is too solid, but they'll leave it in ruins. A monument to what was lost. The temple will stand empty for 450 years, until archaeologists recognize its significance, and UNESCO declares it a World Heritage Site. Today tourists visit Hampi, the ruins of Vijayanagara, and marvel at what remains. But they're seeing perhaps 10% of what existed. The rest is rubble, foundations, memories. You leave the temple blessed by the priest. Tomorrow you'll return, but Vijayanagara has no tomorrows. Afternoon, and you pass the Royal Enclosure, the administrative heart of an empire controlling all of South India below the Krishna River. The palace complex is massive. Audience halls where the emperor meets subjects. The Lotus Mahal, a pavilion with Indo-Islamic architecture, showing Vijayanagara's cultural synthesis. Elephant stables with domed chambers for the royal war elephants. Each stable is architecturally distinct. Even buildings for animals show artistic ambition. The current ruler, Raya, is controversial. He's not from the royal Tuluva dynasty. He's a regent who seized power. Brilliant military strategist, skilled diplomat, but also arrogant. He's made fatal enemies. For decades, Vijayanagara survived by playing the sultanates against each other, supporting one against another, hiring Muslim mercenaries, maintaining balance of power. It worked, until Raya overplayed his hand. He insulted the Sultan of Bijapur in his own court, called him a son of a servant. In feudal honor culture, that's unforgivable. The Sultanates, despite centuries of rivalry, united for one purpose: destroy the Hindu empire that humiliated them. The intelligence reports are coming in, the alliance is forming, armies are mobilizing. Raya knows, his advisors warn him, but he's confident. Vijayanagara has survived invasions before. The Bahmani Sultanate tried and failed. The Delhi Sultanate before that. But this time is different. This isn't one sultanate, it's 5, united, determined. And they have superior artillery, Ottoman-trained gunners with cannons and muskets. Vijayanagara relies on elephants and cavalry, medieval warfare meeting early modern technology. The Portuguese offered to help. They have guns, military expertise. But Raya refused, not wanting to owe debts to Christians. Pride, fatal pride. You see the king's balance near the palace, a giant scale where emperors are weighed against gold, silver, and gems, which are then distributed to Brahmins. The ritual demonstrates wealth and piety. Raya performed this ceremony last year. He won't perform it again. In January, he'll march north with 140,000 soldiers. The largest army Vijayanagara has ever assembled. It won't be enough. At Talikota, his Muslim mercenaries will betray him mid-battle. The center will collapse, he'll be captured. The Sultan will behead the 70-year-old king personally. Display his head on a pike. Send the message. This is what happens to Hindu arrogance. When news reaches Vijayanagara, panic, mass exodus. The royal family flees, the treasury is hastily moved. But there's too much wealth to move, too many temples, too much art. The Sultanate armies will arrive to an abandoned city. Then they'll spend 6 months destroying it. Not just looting, deliberate cultural annihilation.
Sunset over Vijayanagara. The Tungabhadra River reflects orange and gold. Temple spires catch the last light. The city settles into evening routines. Merchants closing shops, priests lighting temple lamps, families gathering for meals. You stand on a hill overlooking the city. 500,000 people live here. The streets stretch in organized grids. The bazaars, the palaces, the temples. It feels eternal, solid, unshakable. It's not. January 23rd, 1565, the Battle of Talikota. 6 hours of fighting. Vijayanagara's army outnumbers the Sultanate alliance, 140,000 against 80,000. But numbers don't matter when your Muslim mercenaries betray you mid-battle. When Raya is captured and beheaded, the army breaks. Soldiers flee, elephants panic. The Sultanates win decisively. News reaches Vijayanagara within days. The city empties. 500,000 people flee south. The royal family escapes. The treasury is partially saved. But the city itself, abandoned. Then the Sultanate armies arrive. For 6 months, they systematically destroy. Every temple defaced, every palace burned, every sculpture smashed. They're not just looting, they're erasing. Sending a message that Hindu resistance ends here. The destruction is so thorough that Vijayanagara never recovers. The empire fragments. Successor states fight among themselves. Within decades, the Mughal Empire from the north will expand south. Hindu political power in South India will take centuries to rebuild. Today you can visit Hampi, the ruins of Vijayanagara, UNESCO World Heritage Site. Tourists walk through collapsed temples, crumbling palaces, boulder-strewn landscapes. The Vittala Temple still stands, damaged but recognizable. The stone chariot remains. Some musical pillars still ring. But it's a ghost, a memory of what was. The Royal Enclosure is foundations and walls. The bazaar is a grass-covered street. The wealth is gone. The people are gone. Only stone remains. Archaeologists estimate that Hampi's ruins cover 16 square miles. They believe they've excavated maybe 10%. The rest remains buried, waiting. Vijayanagara's destruction marked a turning point. The last great Hindu empire of medieval India fell. Islamic dominance solidified. Then European colonization. Hindu political sovereignty wouldn't truly return until 1947 independence. But the culture survived. The temples, ruined but standing, proved Hindu civilization couldn't be completely erased. The art, the music, the traditions, they persisted through centuries of foreign rule. You don't know any of this. You're just watching sunset over the city of victory. Tomorrow you'll wake and work and worship. Life will continue, except it won't. In 4 months everything ends, and 450 years later people will walk through ruins wondering, what was it like when this city was alive? Now you know. This was Vijayanagara, beautiful, wealthy, doomed. In our next journey we'll witness another empire's final moment. But this time, the destroyers aren't sultans, they're Mongols. And the city they're coming for is the center of Islamic civilization itself. Baghdad, 1258 AD, the end of the Golden Age.